Welcome in, Purple.
Hello, Jim. Bill. Repton.
Hi. I have a question for you to start us off here, Purple.
Go for it.
What's happened with the scoring in our game? 5 teams on the weekend scored 50 points or less in a game of football.
Conditions were at play, I think, in at least 2 of those games.
Right.
The Q clash was one of those games I think you're referring to.
Well, Ballarat was,
Ballarat, yeah.
you got Port Adelaide with 41 points, and then the Crows kept Carlton to 50.
Yes.
Freo.
And then you got Freo, Richmond, and Gold Coast all not getting past 50 points.
Yeah. And you'll see a few of those teams figure in the negatives.
But that's a worry. When you can't score to that extent, that's a concern to me.
Well, with the Port example being 90 points in arrears of the Bulldogs, they just didn't handle the conditions or the opponents.
No.
And I thought Lordy pulled apart what happened with Carlton against Adelaide too in a really clinical
what
fashion.
happened
They
there?
just took the ball off them compared with what they had done the previous week against Geelong, where it was contested footy, that's what they wanted and were able to excel at. But Adelaide just clearly had a plan, Jim, to not give them that opportunity and kept the ball off them basically. So and that was obviously factored in, and it's a bit of a concern. A few things off the field, as you've probably discovered. The Boxing Day situation, fracas, brawl, whatever term you want to put on it, at Sorrento involving Stephen May and Dion Prestia. It has been said today by the police investigating that they could be, and this is a quote from them, likely charged on summons for the, I suppose, the damage caused in that particular moment.
How's it taken this long?
It's been a long time.
Again, Jim, without wanting to sort of deliberately not go too deep into it, I think there was some reluctance or some difficulty in getting full information from all people involved, and they've taken their time to do that, and that was an official statement from the police today. So how that looks, what it means, and then what happens after it, let's see it play out through the system.
Curfews? That's what seems to be coming up
that,
now
that's
for
only
players.
comes into play with the sanctioning part of it, and you're referring there to obviously what's happened with Noah Bolter in New South Wales. And the other off-field issue is also one that right now I'm not going to go into too deeply behind the scenes, but Willie Rioli of Port Adelaide sending a message to a Western Bulldogs player regarding something that he may seek to have happen to another Western Bulldogs player on the back of an incident on the ground on the weekend. I mean, I'm just loath at the moment, Jim, to go much deeper than that, but it is a serious issue. And
what
one
happened
that,
on the ground then?
There was a scuffle between Willie Rioli and Bailey Dale, and Willie got a $1,000 fine sanctionable from the match review office.
So a good
old-fashioned
wrestle.
one. And Willie himself, who, as we know, has been known to use social media to get his points across. He did so after the Hawthorn game 3 weeks ago, and the subsequent comments made around that. But he chose to also use his social media posts to say that effectively Dale may have started that particular scuffle. So, but behind the scenes, though, the message he had sent to the Bulldogs player who has reported it, and he had to report what the contents of it were to his club, and now the AFL is involved in that. And it is, it's not to be taken lightly with what's been said in it.
It's an unusual one.
Wow.
It is an unusual one. Yeah.
Now, what about money coming out of the game yesterday? Because that's as good a melee as there's been for a while.
Yeah, it was, wasn't
Richmond Hawthorn.
Yeah, it was a
not
bit going on
everyone
there.
involved, but there would have been at least 20.
Bit going on at the Gabba too. There was a little bit there.
There was a bit. Yeah, probably not as much as I thought there was going to be pre-match. That was a disappointment, wasn't it? We'll look at that in the negatives. That melee you referred to, Jim, there was a clear, I won't say targeting, but an intent by Richmond to get inside their head, not for the first time, of James Sicily.
Yes.
And he's known to not back down in any way, shape or form, which we love about him. But that'll all come through maybe while you're still on air tonight. Positives,
Probably
Bill, the 35-year-old Paddy Dangerfield. I think there's only one place you can start this weekend with what he did in the last quarter, but what he'd done prior to that and what he's done a few times this year.
He's great to watch. He's just so powerful. He's marking well. He's kicking goals. And obviously he doesn't have to do as much work when he was playing as a midfielder, but he's more of a burst player now, so he can do a bit more of that. So they've found the right spot for him. I don't know if it helps Jeremy Cameron so much.
It's interesting you raised that, Bill. Is it helping Shannon Neal as well?
I think...
Ollie Henry?
Well, Ollie's been down, but just certainly Jezza. But it's helping the team.
Which is at the end of the day all that matters.
That's right,
It is all that matters. Yep.
Just his power. It's unbelievable, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is. And we saw what happened in 2022 when they won the flag, the Cats, and how he, at one stage of that season, was just cotton-wooled and basically put into a pre-season of sorts to get himself ready for that back end of the year. He's not required to do that right now. He's playing every minute that's available to him, isn't he? In the context of a 35-year-old body, but it's bulletproof at the moment.
Filthy didn't win a Norm Smith.
Yes.
Like, acts as if he isn't, but actually...
No, he'd love to win that.
Very openly is.
Yeah.
You know what worries me
this
about
causes
him?
problems with Izzy, but I think he's got good claims on it, Deja.
100% should have won it.
His wasn't bad, but I think if you look at the game again, what worries me about him, he'll run into someone and they'll get hurt and he'll get a week or two.
You do wonder that, don't you? Because it is outcome driven.
Because the way the game's going now.
Yeah. And he's been smart this year, hasn't he? When he has taken possession or made the contact, he's got the ball in hand at that point. But you're right. I mean, he was one of the headline acts for the dangerous tackle last year, if you recall that incident early in the season. Merritt, it goes way back to Thursday night now, but I just cannot get enough of how Zach Merritt is playing and what he did for Essendon against North Melbourne. If he's not playing... They're not winning that game.
Could he be leading the Brownlow medal right now?
Yeah, it's a good question to ask, Bill. I haven't sort of analysed the entire 8. Well, he's only played 7, hasn't he? Because there's yet to play that opening round game that's been postponed all the way through to 2020.
He could be
round
right
24.
up there.
He could be, Bill. Yeah.
Yep.
He could be. Yep. Ashcroft and Jim, you love the drafting system.
Will or Levi?
Well, I'm going to go with Will first because he added an Ashcroft medal to a Norm Smith medal that he won last year in the grand final. But just to, I suppose, absorb Levi coming into the system as an 18-year-old and seamlessly playing not just a role, but a key role in a team that has 7 wins, 1 losses, and is doing everything right as they did last night to close off round 8 against Gold Coast. It's they've got them both under father sons. What a luxury that is. But the immense talent. I mean, Levi...
And Jasper Fletcher, who's also
and Jasper Fletcher, who hasn't been dropped since he debuted also in 2023. And as we know, Will's got a 12-month absence with a knee reconstruction inside his short time in the game, yet to play 40 matches of football, but racking up an amazing CV.
Yeah, it was good. The Brisbane Bears jumper. I like that.
Yeah, I like it too.
Brisbane.
Yeah, I like that jumper.
That was good.
Maxi Gawn, he loves Optus Stadium, doesn't he? He kicked 5 goals in a prelim final in 2021 there, and he just dominated West Coast again on the weekend. And I feel his 3 past matches are as good as at any stage of his career, which as we know, takes him 7.
Yeah, to Fat's point about Brownlow, he's got to be up there too.
I would think he would.
He would be.
Yeah.
Bloody oath he would be.
I just can't see why he hasn't got 9 Brownlow votes in the last 3 matches. And if you remember, he was still very good early when they were losing those matches. They started 0-5 Melbourne, but he was good early, really good early.
At least. That's the maximum votes from 3 games.
No, he'd be at least 9 votes. And then we add a couple in losing sides. He might be 11 or 12.
We mentioned Western Bulldogs. Tim English's form too, speaking of ruckman, in the past fortnight particularly, has been really, really good. And it's just setting up that now very, very deep midfield that they've got, Bill, and one that's working really nicely with Ed Richards almost taking over main duties there and allowing Marcus Bontempelli to just ease himself back in. He's had we talk about 3-week patches. He's only played the 3 matches this year, having missed the first 5 with a serious calf complaint. But he's just come back in as though nothing had happened there. And the form they've produced.
And the Bont, of course.
That's who I was referred to.
Yeah, no, but he had a bit to say.
Where's he at?
No, but he had a bit to say.
Yeah, we may as well go there.
I would have thought while you mentioned it.
Yeah, okay.
Just spent a minute talking about a bloke and then...
No, but I'm helping him out with the audio.
Are you ready to go there, Ramsey?
Yeah,
so we set up in order then. So Bailey Smith, former Bulldog, as we know, played in front of 82,500 people, was either best or second best on ground to Paddy Dangerfield. Referenced the 4,800 late in the interview with Cam Mooney.
Agua's at 82,000 versus Collingwood on a Saturday night at the G. How good's that?
It's beautiful, mate. Not getting that at Ballarat, so...
And then Bont, who I've never known him to enter publicly into this space, but did it very cleverly yesterday on Channel 7.
I mean, it's nice to know, we're still on Bailey's mind. He's still thinking about us, even at another team. And, in the end, there's probably a few less people down in Ballarat for him to flip the bird to. So maybe that's why he's a little bit disappointed. But it makes round 11 even more interesting, which I think we'll all be looking forward to. And everyone loves a bit of theatre in the game, so we'll be happy to provide, the same as we get closer.
I love that he's embraced that, Bont. It's not in his nature normally publicly to do so.
He was good, wasn't he?
He was good.
Got his own joint open now, Arthur's or something.
Which I think that helped too. He did it out the front of Arthur's.
Yes.
So he liked that, yeah.
He did. So that game is round 11, as Bont said. It's the Thursday night game. So I'd imagine your network, Jim, will be very excited about the build-up to that.
Hope.
And at Geelong.
Thursday night.
Yes, that's good. You'll be right.
That's the bit about that I heard most.
No, Thursday
Was the Thursday night bit. Yes, I'm
not
liking you, Positive Purple. It's good.
Yeah, it was a bit more if you want.
Yeah,
we
no
can
break. We'll
go have a
get to
break
the
and a
rest-
few more
to the
positives and
next.
then the negatives.
Righto.
Jordan Dawson, we'll give him some love.
Back in town.
Back in town in a very big way. Led the Crows to a big win against Carlton. And while he'd had a couple of quiet weeks like his team did, he's overall had a nice 2025 to back up a very nice 2024 and a good 2023. Ross the Boss, it goes back to the Friday night, Jim, and you described
The
it. And
Boss.
I saw you get quoted there during the course of some media reports today that you said this was the worst game you've ever seen.
Ever
The
seen.
St Kilda versus Fremantle game
ever
I'm referring
seen.
to.
But I was very complimentary of the Boss.
You were.
And the way that he was able to whip them into a defensive frenzy that was actually extraordinary.
Just strangled.
It really
them.
was.
It was. It was amazing.
You know, he's a star, and we always say this. Callum Wilkie.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
Bloody star.
Yeah, Cooper Sharman, I really like
Yeah, he
the
was
vibrancy he gave. And look, I'm not the biggest fan of Jack McRae, Bill, but the wins they've had,
Keeps
he's
getting
been prominent in them. So the identification of him as a player they recruited last year has worked, it must be said, to this point. Chad Warner, back to his brilliant best yesterday for the Swans against the Giants. They needed the win, the Swans, because they were 2 wins, 5 losses going into that game. The season was slipping away from them, but they've just allowed themselves, I feel anyway, to feel that they could use the remainder of the season to get back into the top 8. And just to sign off on the positives, Hawthorn Footy Club, it just does everything.
Well done.
Oh, sorry, I won't say everything. Most things, right? It certainly celebrates its own success over the years very, very
Did
well.
it well with all the past players. And Jack Gunston, well done to you. You're flying.
He is, isn't he?
Third on the Coleman.
Yep.
Jack Gunston.
Yeah, and
Guess
brought
who's
up
second?
career goal number 500.
He did. Guess who's second on the Coleman? Ben King leads it.
Yep.
Jack Higgins.
It's good to have some lesser non-key position
Paul
players in
Curtis
there.
is up there too.
He is.
So premierships in every decade since the 1960s, Bill, and they're tracking again to continue that. But the celebrations and the way they did it on the MCG yesterday was
very well done.
perfect. And then
Agreed.
just had a pretty cruisy 10-goal win against
in
the
the park.
Tigers. Yeah, got to start the negatives with Gold Coast because I was really disappointed with their lack of, I'd say, competitiveness when it's all said and done against Brisbane Lions last night. It was a game that I certainly, and I think others did too, had built up as being a potential, let's see what happens from a grand final perspective. But they were effectively bullied out of it, Bill, quite
Big
early.
Brother wins again.
It wasn't a big score that the Lions racked up. There was some inaccuracy from 2 players who were really crucial to the Lions, that being Calamachi and Charlie Cameron. But they ultimately just controlled the proceedings. And, I was let down by the Suns. I wanted to believe in what they were doing, and maybe they can regroup and use the experience to good. But in terms of just coming out of round 8, a long way off being the potential grand final
They've won
team
12
that they want to be.
of the last 13.
The Lions have?
Yeah, the Lions have.
There's no doubt there's some of that big brother, I think, look down at
that's
them.
right,
And also the exchange of words that was sort of done
Big
in a
gun,
friendly manner in the off-season scratch match where the Suns players were questioning Will Ashcroft's merits on that Norm Smith medal. I mean, that's all well and good, and I like them doing it, but you then got to back it up when the games are
when the
have
heat's
4
on.
premiership points attached, and they didn't. Fremantle, though, is the biggest negative for the round 8 action in my eyes. And you add what they failed to do against St Kilda on Friday night against St Kilda at Marvel Stadium to what they also did badly against Melbourne in round 6 at the MCG, Bill, and then go back all the way to round 1 when they just got humiliated by the Cats down at GMHBA. So they're the 3 matches that they've played in Melbourne and have been embarrassed in all
Lost
3.
their last 5, I think, if you go back
to last year as well.
beyond that, in Melbourne.
Yeah.
But
and
badly,
they were poor.
poorly.
They were, and okay, that happens, and you can get to half-time of a game, and in this particular one, they had 1 goal to their name, and you think, okay, well, good coaches, I can imagine what Sam Mitchell would be doing in that moment. We're going to change the team around, we're going to certainly change our attitude around it. I thought, what's going to happen? And they then came out and kicked 1 goal in the third quarter, ability to go into 3-quarter time with 2 goals. So, yeah, they couldn't even respond inside the game. And then
He's
you've
under
got
the
situations.
pump. The coach is under the
He's
pump.
under the pump. And when these types of statements are made by senior players, as Caleb Sarong is here, Bill, who spoke today in Perth, you know that there's some stuff going on behind the scenes.
He's got my full belief that he's the right man. His game plan, I texted him yesterday, just made sure he knew that I've got full belief in the game plan and him as a coach, and I love playing for him. So I just know that he would have been copping a bit of heat over the last couple of days, and just wanted him to know that he's got my full backing as a leader, and I've got no doubt that's, I guess, a reflection of the whole playing group, in my opinion, that he's got all of our backing.
He'll get a game next week, Caleb.
Yeah, well, he will on form anyway. But the fact that he is now in his 6th season as coach, and this is a year that they did expect to be pointy-ended on the ladder when it got to September. And look, they've got time to regroup, and there's no doubt after round 8 they can still do that. But the fact that they're missing the opportunity to prove themselves in Melbourne is going to play on their minds as much as the opponents they're about to.
Big game Thursday night.
Yep.
Thursday night, Collingwood off a 5-day break, tough game.
No excuses.
No excuses.
And you'd expect Collingwood to potentially at least consider resting some players for that, wouldn't you?
Yeah,
Jordan De Goey, I think, is one of those players, and maybe Pendlebury as well to see how they go. Although he doesn't like missing any matches.
No.
GWS 3 losses in a row now. The Swans won Sunday, the most recent. Prior to that, it was Western Bulldogs, and prior to that, it was a close one against Adelaide Crows. But you package it up, they're 4-4. They've lost some of their, I suppose, explosive run. And the fear that they often had in their opponents' way of approaching games against them. So, yeah, they've got a bit of work to do. The forward line's not great at the moment. Toby Green's just not at his absolute best. Jesse Hogan, again, he's had some injuries this year. Jake Stringer was used as a sub and actually provided a spark late, but the damage had been done before he even got on the ground.
Midfield too, and they've struggled a bit, haven't they? I see they got votes. Callahan was good, and obviously Tom Green, but they just need a bit more through there and need some more run off half back.
Yeah, I don't feel they go as deep as they have traditionally, and by way of comparison, say with the Western Bulldogs in that midfield.
Right, so I didn't see this game, but what the hell happened to Port Adelaide? That is an obliteration. It is.
90 points you're referring to at the Ballarat Stadium there, and I mean it was off the back of 3 wins in a row, which they'd managed to put together. But
but they just climbed over North. You know, they were 7 points up with in red time last quarter, so. They at home, that's a game they should have comfortably won.
Beat Sydney in a similar grind the week before,
and
then the Hawthorn game was a good game, but
Yeah.
It's very typical of Port Adelaide to get themselves up for a moment, which they've got the opportunity to do this week, Bill. So, again, similar to Fremantle, who needs to respond against Collingwood, the Port team have a showdown up against the Crows, and history says you just disregard ladder positions for every single showdown.
I mean, I look at it, Purple, as if you're a team that's think you're going to end up in the top 6, which I think they think.
Yep.
You're not getting beaten by 90 points by anybody.
No.
Yeah.
Are you? I mean, you shouldn't be.
No, you shouldn't be.
What about the 2 games Saturday night? Gold Coast, Western Bulldogs, Darwin. That's a good one. And Port and Adelaide.
Yep.
Good games Saturday night.
Bill just reading the fixture.
Yeah,
out.
he is. Yeah. And
Well, they wouldn't have
by
seen this. I am surprised. I haven't
Any
seen
other negatives?
Just look, West Coast.
And none on free to air. Come on, Jim.
Saturday, that's the deal with the AFL.
Just
Got
take
nothing
a
to do
little
with me.
camera down yourself and call it.
Shut up, fat.
West
Keep going,
Coast yet to register a win. Got a chance on the weekend, Bill. They've got Richmond this week, but they probably had a chance on paper against Melbourne on the weekend, just gone and failed to take it. Carlton, I'm prepared to forgive. We have touched on them briefly a few moments ago, but they did get blown away by Adelaide. I feel they'll be able to reset on the back of what happened there. And then you've also got losses to Collingwood and Richmond, but Richmond I don't think anyone's expecting to do more than what they've done to this point, and failing to convert against Hawthorn as they did in the first half. That was always going to come back and get them. And Collingwood, while they lost, Bill, they somehow nearly retrieved a 17-point deficit with 2.5 minutes to play.
Like, what about CRISPR? Like, one of our favourites.
Yes.
And I'm looking at it going, sucked in fat, this is going through, and then all the umpire grizzling and all. Never looked like going through.
No, it didn't, did it?
Like, what happened?
Fatigue
He just
in the
talked
moment?
it was a long game, long, hard game.
Thank you, Bill. I'm
And
aware
he
of
had to
that.
kick it outside 50, so it was a long kick.
But
it
I
just
mean,
wasn't an easy.
The moment got to him, didn't
For a
it?
player as gifted as he is,
Yeah.
I just watched it going, that's almost gone sideways.
Yeah, it wasn't good off immediately, was it? It wasn't hanging.
He'll be devastated.
will.
He
will
he's
be.
bloody
Yeah.
high. He is high
Did
quality.
you see what they did at the last bounce? Nick Dacos took O'Shaan out towards centre forward
O'Sheen.
and left this big gap in the middle of the centre. It was quite good. Geez, they train for all that.
Yeah, they
That's
do.
why they're so good, Collingwood.
But even with that
and win
last
those.
bounce, there was a secondary ball up with the first one being, required to be
that's
started
right. Yeah,
again.
yeah.
So they had the chance to then come back in. So
Isn't it funny? I have a great regard for the 23 blokes that play for Geelong, and I absolutely love their coach, Chris Scott. So all of that is parcelled up in the fact that I so desperately wanted Jack Crisp to kick that goal
For what
so
reason?
I could say sucked in fat.
So did I.
That's all I wanted was to be able to go sucked in fat, and then it didn't go through.
Yeah, it was a
Yeah.
shame.
Yeah,
would have been good.
Shame.
would have for all of us. it
Are
would
we
have been
done
good.
with him?
What, you had nothing, Damo?
Oh, well, he can hang around if you want. What are you doing, Damo? Got to put on a lamb roast or something?
I've got footy classified tonight, Bill, on Channel 9.
What, in about 8 hours?
No, it's on at, I think it's on at 8:40 tonight.
What are you opening with?
What line of questioning is this?
I don't know what's going on
We're just working on a few things, Bill.
All right, Damo, great to see you, mate.
See you guys.
The rush hour.